You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds. And when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me. Just call on me.
Behöver du en bil? Moby hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Moby hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
After a long season of racing, it has finally come down to this, the 5 races at the end of the season to determine who will be the Season 5 champion. It all begins right here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. Alongside me, my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, back again for the first time since I believe it was the Road America LMP race. Tony? Missed a lot over these last couple of weeks. We had a great race at Talladega 2 weeks ago to set the stage for the final 5 weeks that we're going to be seeing here.
And I can't think of a better place to kick off the playoffs than right here in Las Vegas, Sin City itself. Time to split that pack, spin that wheel, and throw them loaded dice, because this is going to be a slugfest for sure.
Yep, it absolutely is. 15 drivers set to go here to try to make a run for this championship as we get set to go here tonight. Starting an hour later than what we thought, daylight savings time catching both of us out here earlier on. So push the race back an hour, at least here on the American side as we get set to go. We'll take a look at the 15 drivers that will be running for the championship. There they are. Up on screen, Jesper Eriksson holds a 17-point lead coming into this championship. Linus Broström Michael Haflidason, Alexander Arildsson, Daniel Solo will be your top 5. Jonas Gunnarsson, Eric Blix, Peter Helmbro, Andre Solander, and Daniel Holmer, your top 10. Oscar Fredrickson, Jonas Skoglund, Robert Eriksson, Jonas Forss, and Anton Bratberg, your 15 drivers that will be running for the Season 5 championship. All of these guys are very, very close, which means one mistake from anyone in this group means that they are going to have a very, very hard time next week at a very difficult racetrack in Richmond.
You're absolutely correct, Frank. And, this is when it comes right down to it. There are no room for mistakes. Everybody's right on top of each other in the points. And, from Eriksson, who is leading coming into tonight, to Jonas Forss, who is dead last in the playoffs coming into tonight, you're only talking 37 points. That's not even a 30-car field.
No, and
it so happens we have 30 here tonight.
and that also speaks to how difficult these playoffs are. Now, it's not just that it's just 15 drivers, so one less driver. It's also 2 races.
Right, and the last thing anybody wants to do is put themselves behind the 8 ball early. So I dare say that we're going to be seeing a lot of guys kind of tiptoeing early here, especially a lot of the guys that are currently in the mid-pack of the playoffs. Your Jonas Gunnarssons, your Peter Helmbros, guys that are inside the top 10 or just outside the top 10. Those guys are going to be playing it real cool in the early going, because what's the first rule of racing? In order to finish first you must finish.
Yeah, absolutely. And you will be able to see all 15 of the playoff drivers as the playoff races go on by. Each driver will have a yellow or a gold banner on their car, plus a gold spoiler on our timing and scoring table. The gold really wasn't jiving with the text color, so on the timing and scoring pylon, all of the championship drivers will be highlighted in blue throughout the championship as we get set now to go into the qualifying session. This is going to be a very big qualifying session, especially for those playoff drivers.
This is going to be an all-important one for sure, because the last thing you want to do is, get the last pit box, and then there's just where you start here in Vegas is usually of the utmost importance. It's not like a plate track like Talladega or Daytona, or even an auto club in Michigan, where you can race your way forward. This is a difficult track here in Vegas, and these guys are really going to have to earn their keep tonight.
One of the drivers out on track, the first driver out on track, Jonas Gunnarsson, one of the playoff hopefuls. Winner here at Las Vegas back in Season 3. That was the last time they held a race here, so Gunnarsson does know how to win at this racetrack when it comes down to it. And he will be the first one to set a potential qualifying time. Just wrapping that outside here early. That could be one of the racing lines that we see throughout the night, or it could just be him trying to wind that car up as much as he can.
I think it's part from column A and part from column B at this point. He's trying to, get that engine up to full song, but you can see down low where the rubber's already been laid down. There's not a ton of rubber up where he's running. So this is going to pretty much be a throwaway lap for him to set provisional P1. Immediately gets bumped off by Oscar Fredrickson.
Antoine Ehrmann going up to the top in the number 42 for Team Superior. As there you see the timing and scoring pylon there. Again, drivers in blue are championship contenders. We will see that all season long for these guys, as Ehrmann really wrapping that bottom quite nicely. Jonas Gunnarsson to P1 at 29.99 on his second lap, a 10th quicker than Eric Lundberg. However, it's Andre Solander who's going to come away with pole.
Only 2 guys have gone sub 30 seconds here tonight, and it's Solander and Gunnarsson. And it's kind of what you'd expect. Those have been 2 of the strongest cars all season long. You'd expect nothing less coming into the playoffs, especially round one here at Vegas.
Kenneth Tier in the number 15, the number 49 in 15th. He will go up to 5th after missing Talladega and losing out on his chance to make it into the playoffs. Coming back with a vengeance here, fifth quickest so far for Kenneth Tier, as Alexander Arildsson, 20th place right now, one of the championship hopefuls.
This is a much better lap on lap 2. Right to the top of the pile.
29.96 for Alexander Arildsson to the pole. Half-leading Johansson around track as Daniel Solo qualifies 6th fastest at a 30.04.
Dan Homer out on track right now in the 79. And that thing wound right up. He's going to have to hustle it if he's going to want to get both laps in here.
At the moment, as we see Linus Broström starting his second lap, 25th quickest. At the moment, Connie Lundell in the 91 will be starting on pole for the sprint race, coming up directly after qualifying. Bjorn Broström, the only driver that has not yet attempted a qualifying run. And Broström will go P1 at 29.96, beating out Arildsson.
5 1,000ths of a second separating 1 and 2. 10 1,000 separating first through third.
Marcus Hagman, your winner last week at Talladega, or last time out at Talladega, will pull it off after one lap, 17th quickest. Tony Oivonen is the man on the bubble in the number 84, so he will be the one who will lead the field off in the sprint race coming up in about 10 seconds' time. Congratulations to Linus Broström on taking the pole here at Vegas.
That was a monster lap, too. I mean, just, to get that finite of an advantage, that's impressive.
And for playoff drivers abound, certainly a major, major advantage as we get set to go here for the sprint race at Las Vegas. Tony Oivonen with a time of 30.182, good enough for 21st, good enough to start on pole. Vilda Whalen just 1/100th of a second off in row number 1. Connie Lundell and Daniel Blomqvist will make up row 2. Jonas Forss and Robert Eriksson, 2 playoff drivers, will sit in row 3. Row 4 goes to Martin Liesnik and Robert Erling, with Bjorn Broström, who did not set a time in the qualifying session, bringing up the back of the field in 9th.
So 9 cars scheduled to roll it here. 10 laps of scheduled distance. A couple things to be noteful of tonight. They've got 5 total sets of tires to get them through the A main. 85% fuel fill, so this is basically just going to be a straight up sprint race. Whoever is the fastest after 23 laps, there you go. That's how you're starting at the tail end of this field. And relatively cool weather conditions too tonight, Frank.
Yep, absolutely. Here for this sprint race, we'll take a look at the weather conditions. 18-degree ambient temperature, 26-degree track temperature, only a 7K wind. As we are inching a little bit closer towards the evening hours, we're almost at 4:30 p.m. in sim time. So it is a little bit cooler, and it is a little bit later in the day. We should be expecting this race to end at night as we run through not just this sprint race, but also the main feature race here tonight. Stage break will be at the end of lap 60 for these drivers tonight. But again, first we got to get through the sprint race, and these 9 drivers will attempt to do that to suss out who will start from 21st on back. Pace car is off. Green flag is in the air. We are racing here for the sprint race.
Whalen wasting no time getting down to the low side and pivoting. Jumps on the loud pedal. Gets about a half a second to the good right off the get. But Vilda Whalen has her rearview mirror filled right now with Daniel Bloomquist and Robert Eriksson. As you know, both those guys want to start as far forward as they possibly can to make that A main at least a little bit less of a trial.
Tony Oivinen getting away here a little bit. Jonas Forss looking to the inside of Robert Early and getting loose down there on that apron. That's something that we're going to have to see with these guys tonight. You can go down there, however, there is a banking transition that could get the car upset, and that's exactly what happened there to the 78.
And compound that with cool track temperatures, cool tires. They're lucky that we didn't bring out a caution there. As battle for third going hot and heavy between Eriksson and Whalen right now.
Again, Eriksson, you see the yellow banner on the top of the windscreen of that car. That means that he is a playoff driver. Again, 2 playoff drivers in this sprint race. That'll be the 35 of Eriksson and the 78 of Forss. Eriksson, the biggest mover thus far, +3 now, up into the 3rd position from his 6th place starting spot as here comes Jonas Forss looking to the inside of Connie Lundell.
Something just happened with Oivinen.
Yeah, Oivinen's down pit road. So unless for Oivinen it was a restart violation maybe, or a start violation that could have occurred. Took his 3 laps.
That's what I'm hearing.
Took his
That's what I'm hearing. He may have gone just a little too soon.
Took his 3 laps and in he went before he got disqualified. As that will now hand the lead of the race over to Daniel Bloomquist. And Bloomquist has the rest of the field in very close company.
Vilda Whalen finding herself in a Team Superior sandwich right now. And she's got Robert Eriksson in front of her and Connie Lundell right behind her. And here comes Jonas Ford on Lundell.
Jonas Forss looking to the inside, trying that move on Lundell again. Outside line, as we've seen a lot here with the aero and tire packages of these cars most recently, it is difficult to make a move on the inside. That outside line has so much momentum and you can keep the car wound up out there. A lot easier to defend on the outside, and Lundell proves that there again.
Lundell able to hold court for right now as Jonas Forss falls back into the clutches of Martin Liesnik and Robert Ehrling. This is impressive racing, Frank, to say the least. That, you know, these guys are running this hard, guys and gal are running this hard, this clean, this early.
Absolutely. And speaking of gal, here she goes up to 2nd place, or trying to get there, as Vilda Whalen was looking to the inside of Robert Eriksson. Eriksson able to defend that position, at least for the moment, as we come down to 3 laps to go.
Bloomquist continuing to show the way in that Ford. Whalen going to look to the inside on Eriksson going into 1. Eriksson has it well spotted.
Oh! Big snap of oversteer, as now here comes everyone getting into it. Caution comes out.
What in the heck was that?
Looked like Bloomquist got loose. Coming through turns 1 and 2, trying to really push that 487. And then Eriksson and Whalen made contact trying to get away. Let's take a look at it here. Just, you can see that back end starting to come around, and then the snap correction.
Wow. That was certainly a wild one.
And here's from Eriksson's perspective. Gets loose, trying to avoid, then gets clipped by Whalen down the back straightaway. And both of them fortunate to keep it straight. As that has handed the lead of this race over to Connie Lundell.
Well, at least for right now. And we are going into overtime. I don't know how many attempts we're actually going to get. And it doesn't look like we're going to make it.
These races are under time as well. We have gone to the time limit in a couple of sprint races this season. Robert Eriksson and Vilda Whalen were given their spots back from the caution, from the time of the caution coming out. That is why Eriksson and Whalen both got around Lundell. And for Robert Eriksson, being in the sprint race may not have necessarily been the way he wanted to start off his playoff run, but to win the sprint race is not all that shabby a bounce back.
Well, the other thing you got to look at is you're getting a free look at the track closer to race conditions than everybody else. So, it could be a strategic move to run this sprint race. Not show your hand during qualifying. But with as difficult as it can be to pass here at Vegas, I wouldn't want to risk it.
There you see again the time limit here that is coming up on us rapidly. Down to a minute left to go here. The lights have gone out on the pace car. However, a pace lap around here is 1:31. And the way iRacing works as far as a time limit race goes, as we know from the LMPs, it is to the time limit, not to the time limit plus one. So Robert Eriksson, when he crosses the line this time, he will take the checkered flag as the winner of the sprint race.
Correct, because there's about 30 seconds left on the race timer. It's an 8-minute session, and we're gonna see a green for about 200 yards.
If that, no ability to pass, as we see 10 seconds left on the timer. Coming through 3 and 4 for what will be the final time here in the sprint. Timer has extinguished. These drivers will get the green and checkered together. Eriksson will have control. He will cross the line through the restart zone. And it will be Robert Eriksson. Or I guess we are going to go one lap.
That's what it looks like. I don't think Vilda Whalen knew we were going a full lap either, because she really did not get on it.
Yeah, no, Whalen did not get a good start there. Eriksson, Lundell, Team Superior 1 and 2 right now. Here we go, coming to the line. We showed it a lap early, but it still ended up being true. Robert Eriksson takes the win here in the sprint race. And that will now send us into the main race. Linus Broström with a time of 29.962 sets the pole time here tonight. Alexander Arildsson, 4/1000ths of a second off, will make up row number 1. Andre Stalander and Jonas Gunnarsson will sit in row 2. Philip Carlin and Jochen Wett in row 3. Row 4 will go to Daniel Solo and Kenneth Tier. Anton Bratberg and Michael Haflidason will make up row number 5. Row 6 goes to Eric Lundberg and Daniel Holmer. Row 7 will see Anton Ehrman and Jonas Skoglund with Emily Fegrell and Eric Blixt making up the top half of the field here tonight.
Marcus Hagman and Jesper Eriksson going to roll it from row number 9. Row 10 is going to see Heflida Johansson and Oscar Fredriksson. Robert Eriksson and Connie Lindell in row number 11, with row 12 going to Vilda Whalen and Jonas Fors. Martin Liesnik and Robert Earling in row number 13. Row 14 is going to see Tony Oivinen and Bjorn Broström, with Daniel Blomqvist starting shotgun on the field in 29th.
For Robert,
29 cars scheduled to roll it here tonight, 166 laps. 5 sets of tires to get him through it, and an 85% fuel fill.
There you see the weather conditions. It has changed a little bit. It was 26-degree track temperature. It has now gone down to 24 as we get set to go around 4:45 p.m. in sim time. Track is getting cooler, which means that is only going to create more grip as this race goes on.
Yeah, that's one thing these Goodyears like, is cool track temperatures for high grip factors. But this is definitely going to be a fun one as the field works its way down the Nellis back straightaway. Linus Broström going after a title this season as Arildsson right to his outside as the field works its way through the 3-4 complex. Geico restart zone is in effect. The only thing left for me to say is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab the bingo chips because it's time to get it on in Sin City. Race fans, it's show time.
Green flag is in the air, off and rolling.
Oi!
Oh, and that was the 24 of Arildsson. Got a horrendous start. Now he's falling through the middle.
He was not in the right gear when that green flag came out at all.
He really couldn't have been. That was a really, really off restart for the man who qualified on the outside of the front row. Linus Broström will lead lap number 1 away from the 2 Alcantech cars of Gunnarsson and Solander. And that smoke you're seeing is from the 35, or was created by the 35 of Robert Eriksson, who had a moment on the start.
Had a big moment on the start as Marcus Hagman elected to pit start there, and I can't say I blame him for what we just saw.
Eric Lundberg has not started this race in the number 18, so Lundberg.
He had a throughput.
So he will try to come back in as Gunnarsson looks to the outside of Linus Broström. Jonas Gunnarsson out to the front using that high line.
Gunnarsson and Broström, no stranger to racing each other on ovals. We've seen them in a couple other leagues that we broadcast here on Sim Racing Media. But the one thing you're going to expect, especially out of both of them and Andre Salander right behind them, is clean, hard racing. As Salander gets a good run on Broström, has to swing it out and try to take second.
It takes it to the inside, does Salander, and he will jump up into that second position. So the 2 Alcantech by Neiman Racing cars currently sitting 1 and 2 ahead of Linus Broström. Philip Carlin and Daniel Solo. Right now, 2 drivers that are running, 1 driver, pardon me, Carlin, that is not running for the championship. I'm not sure why, actually. Daniel Solo's name is not highlighted, but he is running for the championship in the number 13. We'll try to get that fixed for next week.
Small graphical error, but no harm, no foul. Right behind him, though, battle for 7th through 10th. There's Hakan Wett and Alexander Arildsson going after each other now.
Arildsson trying to recover off of what was a very awkward start for him. We'll try to see now in replay what happened on that start for the number 24 on board, down in first gear. Let's see what happens. Oh, he never shifted up into third.
Oh boy.
Car would not shift up into third, finally got it. And that was where he was finally able to start recovering. And this is what happened to the sprint race winner, Robert Eriksson, on the start. As everyone's jumbled up, 37, that's Jesper Eriksson getting slid sideways as well.
Kept it off the wall, though. That's the good news.
Both of them did. As Arildsson starting to work his way back forward. Philip Carlin catching the wall coming out of turn 2. Sending Daniel Solo and Michael Haflidason down to the bottom.
You guys are right on top of each other. All somebody's got to do is sneeze, and we've got a big one.
Speaking of which, you can't really tell behind the tower, but the 81 and 24 who we're riding on board with right now, very, very close to each other. Is that outside line momentum carrying Alexander Arildsson right now, trying to go up the middle. Watch out, contact with Philip Carlin. Ooh.
And after the bug glitches that we have seen the last couple of days, Frank, that's putting an awful lot of faith in that code.
Certainly is. And that slowed both of those drivers up because they were both ahead of Solo and Haflidason, and they end up both of them behind those two this time around as Gunnarsson starting to block on that inside line, trying to keep Andre Solander in line behind him.
Well, he's trying to help his Alcantech teammate, get the draft as opposed to giving it to Linus Broström, who, for right now and for the next 5 races, is still going to be with Forza Esports.
There was no question on who he was working with 2 weeks ago at Talladega, and Corey and I spoke about it. Of course, you want to ingratiate yourself with your new team, but also you still have a duty to your current team, and boy, he put the current team ahead of his new team for sure 2 weeks ago at Talladega.
Well, there's still that team championship these guys are racing for.
Absolutely is. As Broström can't quite clear Solander. Alexander Arildsson, by the way, has gotten around both Daniel Solo and Michael Haflidason. Top 6 drivers are currently running for the championship. 7 of the top 10 playoff contenders.
No quarter asked for, no quarter given for second place right now. Is Gunnarsson's got to be looking in his rear mirror, loving what he's seeing. Go ahead, guys. Well, now he's not.
So I think he would be if he was getting away, but right now he almost got sucked into the middle of 3 wide. Now he's darn near at the bottom of it as Andre Solander poking the nose
contact
on the inside, just about pushing the 33 into the 71. It's going to be Broström on the outside taking full advantage. Back to the lead goes the pole sitter. God bless you.
How he kept that off the wall coming off of 2, I have no idea. But he's bringing his teammate Arildsson with him. Oy.
Door-to-door contact between the 24 and the 33 as Arildsson taking full advantage.
Arildsson trying to make up for that mistake, but he opened the door for Solander to get to his inside. Solander now on a charge on the low side. Contact down the Nellis back straightaway.
2 previous races here at Las Vegas for the Svenska eRacingligan Season 2 finale, won by Alexander Arildsson, and as we mentioned during qualifying, Jonas Gunnarsson winning the last race here back in Season 3. So 2 guys in the top 5 right now that know what it's like to get into victory lane at this racetrack.
And they're showing it right now as everybody's running hard, but they're running cleanly, and that's refreshing to see. You can basically throw a blanket just about over your top 23 right now, Frank. That's impressive.
On board
before
with,
you get your first big gap.
On board with Daniel Solo. Again, for those of you just joining us, this is the first of the 5 playoff races that will be run this season. Drivers that you see with a yellow spoiler and a yellow windscreen visor, or windscreen banner, those are drivers that are running for the championship on track. On the timing and scoring tower, those highlighted in blue are running for the championship. Except for Daniel Solo. He is running for the championship and is not highlighted in blue for whatever reason.
And the graphics guy made a mistake. Yeah, that's his one mulligan for the season.
Arildsson looking to the outside of Jonas Gunnarsson. Force Esports locked out the front row with Broström and Arildsson. We saw the start that Arildsson had. Couldn't get into third gear. Forced him to drop back to 9th. It took him 19 laps. Oh, that's somebody sliding on the infield. That's Philip Carlin. Somehow kept it from going back into traffic, and we're still green.
He's trying to get that thing back into a gear that he can accelerate with, but that could have ended a lot more poorly than it did.
Absolutely could have. Try to take a look and see what happened here with Philip Carlin. This is going to be coming out of turn 4. See what led to it. 95, Eric Blixt coming up there. Teammate. Ooh, Blixt got loose. Carlin got loose. Yeah, they both just got loose, and wow.
Heads up driving for everybody around him.
The perfect size gap opened up at the perfect time. As Alexander Arildsson is not your race leader right now, however, he is leading the pack. The race leader is Linus Broström, and he has up and checked out. 1.6 seconds the advantage to Broström right now.
And you can't help but wonder, is he going too hard too soon on these tires? Because you said we've got a stage caution coming up at lap 30 what?
Stage break will be at the end of lap 60. The fuel is expected to go to lap 50. So you're going to be about 10 laps short.
Well, with 5 sets of tires, they should be okay, but you know, we're most likely going to see a green flag pit stop during the stage, and you know, it's going to be all about hitting your marks. This is one of the more difficult pit roads we've had to deal with all season long, because of that transition coming off of 4 onto the flat. It'll shake your fillings loose in your teeth.
It's not going to be as interesting, however, as the new pit road entry at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Have you seen that for this weekend?
Yes.
For those of you who haven't, the pit commitment line at Atlanta this week is not going to be out of turn 4 at the beginning of pit road. It is instead going to be down the backstretch going through turn 3. That is where the commitment is. So it's basically going to be like pitting at Darlington.
Which I can understand. You know, and it'll really help not have guys get run over from behind trying to hot pit.
A couple of drivers who have really been on the move right there is that white and orange number 112 of Oscar Fredrickson plus 13 here tonight. One of the championship hopefuls behind Daniel Solo right now. Championship competitors occupying the top 9 positions right now. It's Anton Bratberg now losing a spot to Eric Blixt, another driver who's been moving up quite nicely. Blixt is plus 8 on the evening.
Blixt is one of those racing ninjas. You know, you don't hear a lot about him during the race, and all of a sudden it's the end of the race, you're going, where the heck did he come from? And that's the type of driver a team owner wants. Keep quiet, don't make waves, don't make enemies, bring the car home in one piece and in the points. Speaking of bringing the car home in the points, what are we doing tonight, Frank?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a moment. But Tony, I found something more pertinent. Have you seen inside of Eric Blick's car lately?
No, but I'm about to.
We're riding on board with him right now. Take a look at the name placard. That is your weekly MS Paint Lightning McQueen that has been crudely drawn on the naming placard. Looks amazing, by the way. We absolutely adore it.
Oh, I'm all for it.
Belongs right with one of those Kerchoo memes.
For the Do You Know the Way guy.
Jochen Wet trying to stay in the top 10 right now. He's behind Anton Bratberg. Battling with Bratberg's teammate for Team Superior, Anton Ehrmann. Outside line still holding very, very strong here at the moment. Which is very unique, because especially from what we saw last night, the outside line really was not the line to be on if you wanted to save the tires. You wanted to be down on the bottom, but tonight it's looking like it's the opposite.
Well, it's also a different car, too.
Different last car, night, different track as well, too, yes.
Well, we were, with the Xfinity car that we were in last night, yeah, you're going to blister the right sides running that high side because you carry so much more speed. Here, on the other hand, you have to pinch the car down so much to run that white line on the bottom that you're better off running a car width and a half up off that apron line.
On board with Jonas Skoglund right now, who's just behind that battle we were just watching there. Just outside of the top 10. As Jesper Eriksson, your current points leader, coming into the playoffs, goes around on the outside. Ooh, very, very close between Ehrmann and Wet.
And again, that goes back to what we were talking about. This put a lot of faith in netcode. Since the latest update from iRacing, I wouldn't want to put anywhere near half of that trust in netcode right now.
Bratberg still keeping it wound up on that outside line. He'll lose the 9th position to Jochen Wet, but either way, still running up on that outside line is Jesper Eriksson continuing to move his way forward down on the bottom. Started in 18th. He's up to 12th now. Not a good starting position for the man who currently leads the championship coming into these playoffs. 37, I should say, points ahead of the cut line. 17 points clear of Linus Broström.
Well, he knows he's got a little bit of breathing room, so he's not pushing the envelope too bad right now. I'll tell you who is pushing the envelope, though, is at 84, Tony Oivonen. Started almost shotgun on the field. Is plus 13, sitting in 14th right now.
Tony Oivonen had that start violation in the sprint race from the race lead. Saw how quick he was, got out to quite a nice lead early on before having to come down pit road. So Oivonen having to work his way from the second to last starting spot. He's up to 14th, plus 13 spots. Tied for the biggest mover with Oscar Fredriksson running in 7th right now.
And it looks like Linus Broström was answering the question that we were asking earlier. Did he go too hard too soon? That lead was over a second, flirting with 2 seconds. It's now down to just under 1 second.
Well, it's also the pace of the two drivers behind him have picked up as well, as Alexander Arildsson and Michael Haflidason have both run away from the rest of the group as they have left Jonas Gunnarsson behind, and the cautions coming out here. Incident on the back straightaway that appears to be the 37 of Jesper Eriksson. It is.
What happened there?
Not sure. A little bit more than halfway through this first stage.
Ooh.
Got loose coming out of turn 2, and Anton Ehrmann didn't have any room to react.
He caught the apron right in the middle of 1 and 2, and it washed the back end out.
Right on board here with Eriksson. So he's drifting up the track, just about catches the wall, does everything he could to stay off the wall, but Anton Ehrmann was not ready to have to back off that much.
I mean, at the speeds these guys are traveling, it's kind of difficult to do that. Now, here's the good news: is it's basically a free fuel stop for everybody. The question is, who's going to take tires here?
We were about 15 laps away from pit stops. As everyone appears to be going with tires.
That's what I'm seeing.
Broström and Arildsson win the race off of pit road, followed by 5 Alcantech cars. The driver that you saw stay out there was Eric Lundberg. Remember, he had disconnected throughput prior to this race beginning. He has gotten back out onto the racetrack. 6 laps down at the moment is that Street Trends number 18, who just barely missed out on making the playoffs after last week. Jonas Forss, the recipient of the free pass.
Leaves us with 28, still on the lead lap, though. It's pretty impressive, especially since we're 37 laps into this piece.
Make it 27 on the lead lap, as there you see Martin Liesnik down pit road getting lapped. Would appear to be fixing damage on that 016.
Yeah, he's brushed the wall coming off of 2 a couple of times, so it would make sense.
Linus Broström, Alexander Arildsson, Michael Haflidason, Jonas Gunnarsson, and Andre Solander will be your top 5. As we get ready to restart here, and Lundberg is going to take a wave around. Not coming down pit road.
He should be getting released next time by as the field work its way into turn number 3.
Martin Liesnik still on pit road. Now he's rolling off. So Liesnik will only lose 1 lap. So he will be the free pass car at the end of the stage, barring any major incidents. So we've seen a lot of guys get close. However, nothing really all that detrimental has happened, as there goes Eric Lundberg, and the field will now double up. Broström electing to take the inside line here on this restart.
As you do, there's just a little bit more rubber laid down on that low side. You know, and it's kind of a lesser of 2 evils of who does he want to pick up. Does he want Haflidason behind him or Gunnarsson? He's choosing Haflidason, but he's also, I guarantee you, he's communicating quite well with Arildsson to make sure that Arildsson goes with him when he does go.
I'm sure they are communicating clutch, off gas, then shift for Arildsson after not being able to shift up out of second gear into third on the last restart.
I wasn't going to go there.
what are teammates for other than to bust you?
You're not wrong.
Getting set to go back to green flag racing. We'll have about 21 laps to go before the end of the stage. Green flag coming back out into the Geico restart zone. They roll. Linus Broström is off and away. We are back to racing once again. Not a great start for Alexander Arildsson, but after the last one, that's an A-plus effort.
Better than the initial hit is Harpsöe in that Audi. It's going to slot into second right now. And then it's an angry pack of Hornets from about Jonas Gunnarsson on back.
If you're just joining us, all of the drivers with the gold banner over the windscreen and the gold rear spoiler are championship playoff 15 contenders. Those names are similarly highlighted in blue on the timing tower. So you can see where all the playoff drivers are currently running at any given time.
A lot of drivers feeling like Superman right now on those fresh tires. We've only got a handful of laps left, and it's a little under 20 laps left in this first stage. Fuel mileage, though, they should be able to make it to the stage caution from here. But right now, Håkan Wet is in a slugfest with Anton Ullman and Anton Bratberg.
Absolutely is. As Broström built out a big lead once he got to it, however, was not able to maintain it before the caution came out. Maintain his big lead. He still had the lead when the caution came out. As Arildsson trying to work that outside line. Arildsson really, really quick here tonight, and he's showing it in that number 24.
It takes him a lap or two to get the thing up to speed, but once he does, Katie barred the door, and he's feeling all sorts of pressure from Harpsöe right now. Oh, he
got pushed there.
Teammate, buddy. Oh, contact with the Elkitech cars behind him.
That was Harpsöe and Solander getting in corner to corner. Harpsöe gave Arildsson a little bit of a bump right as Arildsson was slotting in behind Broström in the tri-oval there. Last time around, that could have been really big at the front of this field.
These guys are racing it like it's lap 145 instead of, or 165 instead of only 45.
Harpsöe looking to the bottom of Arildsson now.
And he's got the drafting help from his teammate in 140. That's Salander right behind him. Salander has the nose washed going into 3. That's going to cost him a little bit of room.
On board with Andrei Solander. Not a lot of off-throttle time in these corners. A big push up there from Harpsöe. Almost into the door of Alexander Arildsson. That will give the 24 the spot back.
Broström, Arildsson, Harpsöe, Salander, Gunnarsson, Solo, Blix, Fredriksson, Ullman, and Oyvind in your top 10 as we currently sit. Pretty well single filed out at the top of this field. But we've got some action going on just inside the last spot of the top 10.
It's Tony Oyvind battling with Anton Ehrman, Jonas Skoglund, and Daniel Holmer. Skoglund and Bratberg side by side. Bratberg, the only one of these 4 running for the championship in that 111. Daniel Holmer bringing up the rear in the 79. Looking a little bit further back, Emily Fegrell in the number 4. carrying the race sponsor on board with that number 4 tonight, Harpsöe Sweden. Thank you very much for sponsoring tonight's race. And the first round of the playoffs here in Season 5 on board with that number 4 is the 22 of Philip Carlin gets loose. And that will be the caution. Carlin got loose. Eriksson had nowhere to go.
So it looked like from where I was sitting.
Down into 1. There's the back end kicking out of the 22, and Eriksson just finishes the job.
He's overcooked it ever so slightly, and 35 nowhere to go, and snap, see you bye.
Great job of evading there by Jonas Forss. Marcus Hagman also having to get around that 22. As we are back under caution for the second time today, inside now of 10 laps to go until we hit the end of the stage. And Alexander Arildsson will fake. Almost drew a number of those Alcantech cars in behind him. Salander, Gunnarsson, Solo also appeared to be committing there.
There's little doubt that Broström was going, but, you know, it's a little early to be burning through a second set of tires here, you know, in this stage. Especially considering that it was 15 laps ago they were last down pit road.
Saw Martin Liesnik go by, getting the lucky dog wave around. Now only Eric Lundberg short of being on the lead lap. See those two checkered flags over the door of Linus Broström, signaling his 2 wins to open up the season at Daytona. And then again at Martinsville. He's only finished on the podium 3 times this season. Those 2 wins plus a 3rd at Michigan. And of the races that he did not drop this season, so he has 12 races on his credit this season already. Top 10s in 10 of those 12.
Yeah, if memory serves correct, he missed a couple weeks being over here in the States, didn't he?
Yep, that he did. Everyone has taken their drop weeks to put them in place. Jesper Eriksson coming into this race. 3 wins, 3 second places, 2 third place finishes. Has him as the points leader.
Not bad for a rookie.
I would say not.
Although I say that almost jokingly, especially when you take a look at the I rating of half this field.
Jesper Eriksson also a winner last week at Sebring for the LMP2 prototype series. Already halfway done with that season. And next week, I'm sure will be another banger of a race as we head to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to run the road course there. as the field doubles up and gets set to go here for the final little sprint to the stage break. Tony, as you mentioned before, we will be having a calm and relaxed live stream here tonight. Not another race per se, but we'll be dipping our toes into F1 Manager 2022 tonight. We would love, and we are planning on that series being a highly interactive series with our viewers. So please, by all means, jump in. And I'm going to be picking our team tonight and running the first Grand Prix, possibly the first 2 GP, depending on how quick we crash out at Bahrain.
And, you know, the way I understood what we were planning on doing was we control one of the cars and the fans control the other car.
That's, yep, right, yeah, basically how that's going to work. As Linus Broström off and rolling again here. 7 laps to go until the end of the stage.
Arildsson and Arildsson going after each other again. Hey.
Arildsson on that outside line, though. Boy, he's got a lot of momentum and a lot of speed up there. Trying to use every ounce of it. As man, those two are getting close, the 81 and 24.
I mean, I know you want the stage points, but good grief, you know. It's only lap 55, guys.
9 of the 15 playoff drivers currently occupy the top 10 right now. And a 10th in Anton Bratberg, not that far behind in 11th. Arildsson finally wins out.
Just the sheer number of Alcantech cars that are at the front of this field right now. That's impressive.
3 through 7. Daniel Solo battling with Eric Blixt side by side. Everyone else single file here in this front group. As now here comes Alexander Arildsson looking for the race lead for the first time tonight.
All important bonus point if he can get to the stripe before Linus Broström. Broström, though, was ahead of steam on that second lane, able to defend so far.
100th of a second in it. Broström did take the lap. And now it's Arildsson out in front with Michael Haflidason trying to follow through. Can't.
Haflidason going to file right back in behind Broström as here comes Gunnarsson in the 33 with a good run, but they're side by side behind him with Salander and Solo going after each other.
3 laps to go to the end of the stage. Broström looking back down to the inside, trying to retake that race lead away. Can't quite get to him.
Talking earlier, as soon as Broström got to the lead, was he going too hard? The answer right now is a definite maybe.
Oh, just about. Spun himself off the nose of Michael Haflidason. Haflidason once again looking to the bottom. Haflidason has the run and gets to the inside, gets even with the 71 of Broström.
Broström, though, going to get the drafting help from Arildsson down the back chute. That's going to pull him back into second. The 88's going to have to take another shot at him as we are going to be 1 to go at the stripe.
Completion of this lap will be the end of the stage. Arildsson out in front. Daniel Solo looking to the inside of Andre Salander, trying to take over the 5th spot. Inside line gets such a good run on corner entry. However, difficult to hold it on corner exit. Coming out of turn number 4, Alexander Arildsson takes the win here in the stage.
Arildsson, Broström, Halfledason, Gunnarsson, Salander, Fredriksson, Solo, Skoglund, Blix, and Oivonen, your top 10.
So that will do it for the first stage of action here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. First stage of the Season 5 playoffs in the books. Alexander Arildsson takes the green and white checkered.
Behöver du en bil? Mobi hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mobi hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Back here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Harpsöe Sweden 400. The first race in the round of 15 for the playoffs. First of two races that will take place in the round of 15. 2 weeks from tonight, it will be the final race of this first round at Richmond. Jonas Gunnarsson and Daniel Holmer leading the way with Marcus Hagman and Daniel Blomqvist. Those four did not pit under the stage break, and a host of others taking just fuel only right behind them. We'll get you up to date as we cross the line. 101 laps to go here at Vegas.
Somebody might be getting a penalty there because that was a sketchy restart.
We've already seen one restart violation. And with Jonas Gunnarsson being a championship contender, that would not do his hopes any good.
No, it would not. Although I'm afraid it might be on Daniel Holmer, who is backing up the outside lane.
Holmer also running for the championship as Marcus Hagman will lead the lap. Down on the inside line. Linus Broström trying to work his way back forward. Now Marcus Hagman only competing in 7 races this season, did win at Talladega. However, he did not meet the minimum race requirement to make the playoffs, which is why Hagman is not highlighted in blue on the timing and scoring tower.
Missed it by 1.
Win at Talladega, 3rd place at Nashville earlier this year. 10th place at Bristol Dirt. Those are the 3 best of his 7 finishes this year.
Just inside the top 5, Oscar Fredrickson back on a charge. He's working the inside of Holmer now, coming down the Nellis back straightaway. Boy!
A couple of guys getting really loose coming out of turn 2, having to chase their cars down the back straightaway.
Both Team Superior cars are having to do it.
It's Bradberg and Ehrman. Mentioned drivers that did not take tires, that did not pit. Marcus Hagman came down to pit on lap 50, so he is on fresher tires. Linus Broström did lead the field down pit road, or second down pit road under the stage break. He took fuel only, no tires. Skoglund and Holmer just behind him did not pit. The last time they came into pit was under the first caution at lap 36. Oscar Fredrickson and Michael Haflidason taking fuel only under the stage. Alexander Arildsson in that number 24 battling under Daniel Blomqvist. Blomqvist did not pit during this stage break. Arildsson, did and took 4 tires. Same thing with Jonas Gunnarsson behind him. So a myriad of different strategies up here in the top 10 right now.
And it looks like clean air is king right now as Marcus Hagman continues to show the way. That could have gotten ugly.
Very, very close between Arildsson and Blomqvist. Marcus Hagman almost out to a second lead over Linus Broström. Broström has the better tires on Hagman.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, no, you're right. Broström's on the same tires as lap 36. You were 100% right. See, 2 nights in a row you were right. See that?
Can I have like a raise for that? Freshest set of tires on track right now in your top 10 is going to go to the 24 of Arildsson, as He's starting to make some headway. Right now working on the back of Daniel Homer, looks to the inside, and that's what new tires look like.
He is now stuffed up behind a bunch of guys that did not take tires. There goes Arildsson. Your stage winner here tonight. As Arildsson continuing to work his way forward up to 6th. Daniel Blomqvist, thanks to the pit strategy, plus 21. He wrecked out of the sprint race earlier on tonight. From the lead, as a matter of fact.
Not something you ever want to really see.
Certainly has pace in that 487. Running along that high line, Jesper Eriksson. Saw him around backwards earlier on tonight in the 37. He has not had a night to remember. Qualified back in 18th. Looking to get into the top 10 for the first time. He's another one that came down pit road and only took fuel under the stage break.
Slinging it out right now with Anton Bradford. Now Eriksson does have the top 10, and you know he's going to want more.
And again, for Eriksson, he came in a quite comfortable position as we take a look at the point standings coming into tonight. Jesper Eriksson, 17 points clear of Linus Broström, 37 points clear of the cut line. As far as the drivers racing for the championship, so Eriksson was in a position where he couldn't really afford a bad night, but an average night, by his standards at least, he could afford, and that's kind of what he's having, just an average night.
Frank, I'll be right back.
As Daniel Homer trying to work his way up on the outside. Ooh, somebody got a little bit loose there, saw a little puff of smoke. Would have to assume it was from the 81 of Michael Haflidason coming out of turn 4, because Haflidason a little bit slower, and as a matter of fact, allowing Jonas Gunnarsson to go through. Boy, he's having a fight, that number 81 here. Take a look at Haflidason going into the corner. You can see they're little movements, but that is not a happy race car that he's trying to wheel around here right now. Saw him on the wheel. Unless you're on the dirt at Bristol Motor Speedway, turning right to go left is not something you want to do here in these cars, and he's having to do that quite a bit. He's not really jerking the car around, just it doesn't look like a comfortable ride for him right now. Watch his hands. See how much he's having to work, and saw the wheel and swing his hands back and forth to try to keep the car straight. Daniel Solo jumping back into the top 10 now at the expense of Jesper Eriksson. Actually, at the expense of Andre Solander. Starting to slip back a little bit. 11 of the top 12 positions right now covered by playoff drivers. Marcus Hagman out in front by a second and a half. Currently your race leader. Tire advantage of about 14 laps over the rest of the field. Linus Broström, who led a majority of the laps in the first stage. Currently running in second with the stage winner, Alexander Arildsson, running right behind him. Jonas Skoglund running at his best position of the day in 5th right now. Getting passed by Oscar Fredriksson, who's now running his best position of the day in 4th. Ooh, Skoglund catching that wall coming out of turn 2. And even still, able to power ahead of Jonas Gunnarsson to maintain that 5th position. A lot of guys now running single file here. Anton Bratberg close not just with Tony Oivonen, but with his teammate Robert Eriksson. Both of those drivers going for the championship as well. Anton Ehrman leading the second group of cars. First group is the front 16. Anton Ehrman, Connie Lundell leading the second group. Emily Fegrell again in that number 4, carrying the race sponsor on board with her today. She's right on board with the 4 of Fegrell. Running in 19th position, down 4 from where she started. But it's still been a very good day though. For Fegrell, Jocke Wet, it's the lowest position he's been. We saw him at the beginning of the race really battling right around the top 10. Now running in 20th. Jonas Forrest there as well. In 21st, Vilde Whalen. 3rd place finish in the sprint race earlier on tonight. All drivers still running here in this race, and everyone except for Eric Lundberg is on the lead lap. Only 2 cautions for incident here tonight. Lundberg, as it sits right now, 5 laps down. And that was thanks to him disconnecting during the gridding process before the race started. Came back in, lost 6 laps. Has gotten 1 of them back. As Marcus Hagman now starting to lose a little bit of that lead. Alexander Arildsson really shown to have had a great long run car here today in this number 24, has gotten around Linus Broström and has put nearly a second on the number 71. To the point where Broström has now fallen back towards Oscar Fredriksson and Jonas Gunnarsson. As these 3 now battle for 3rd. Fredriksson right now running in the highest position that he is running. Right now, Forza Esports, we've made such a fuss about how good and how quick the Alcantech team has been today. Right now, Forza Esports holding down the top 4 positions. With Alcantech holding down the next 5, led by Jonas Gunnarsson. And then here's this group of 4 with Daniel Solo, Michael Haflidason, Andre Solander, and Eric Blixt just inside the top 10. Then it's Tony Oivonen, the independent driver, in the number 84, holding down a top 10 position. Oivonen was very quick in the sprint race earlier on tonight. However, a restart violation took his black flag on his 3rd of 3 laps. Ended up finishing 8th of the 9 drivers that participated in the sprint race earlier on. As Hagman now has lost that 1.6 second lead. Alexander Arildsson has closed the gap. Jonas Gunnarsson has gotten around Oscar Fredriksson, now going side by side with Linus Broström. That is for third. Gunnarsson had it at the line, was not clear, but did have it at the line. Side by side now for the race lead as Alexander Arildsson throws his number 24 to the outside. And Alexander Arildsson goes back up to the front. Gunnarsson not quite able to clear Linus Broström just yet. There he goes. Now he's got him. So a change for the race lead and a change for the final step of the podium. We're working lap 95 of 166. Alexander Arildsson has just taken over the race lead from Marcus Hagman here at Vegas. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with more from the first race of the playoffs.
Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig. Behöver du en bil? Mabe hyrbilar finns på över 150 platser i landet och vi har nästan lika många modeller att välja på. Mabe hyrbilar. Hyrbilar som passar dig.
Back here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the Harpsöe Sweden 400. The first race in the round of 15 for the playoffs. Round number 2 will be in 2 weeks' time at the Richmond Raceway. Right now, Alexander Arildsson out in front leading this race, winner of the stage. Now currently leading by 1.7 seconds over the Alcantech trio of Daniel Solo, Jonas Gunnarsson, and Erik Blixt. Linus Broström is darn near 2 seconds behind those three. Tony Oivinen and Jesper Eriksson have caught up to the number 71 of Broström. A second and a half behind those three is another trio. This one of Michael Haflidason, Oscar Fredriksson, and Andre Solander. Up in this trio, Vilda Whalen finds herself currently running in 11th on pit strategy as about a second lead over her teammate. Emily Fegrell, Robert Eriksson, Anton Bradberg there as well. A lot of threes showing up here tonight as we inch closer and closer to the pit cycle for the drivers that did come into pit during the stage break. Marcus Hagman, saw him disappear. There he is right now running in the 26th position after coming in back on lap 107. Philip Carlin coming in on lap 105. We saw Daniel Holmer and Jonas Skoglund come in together on lap 97. Those guys had not pit since the first caution of the race back on lap 36. But right now, with the pace that has been shown by this number 24 car, it has been Arildsson's race to lose here at this point. He has had an absolutely phenomenal night thus far, as there's been a swap in the order in this second group, as Erik Blixt has gotten around Jonas Gunnarsson. 9 of the top 10 drivers right now currently racing for the championship. Drivers that you see on screen with the yellow windscreen banner and the yellow rear spoiler as Michael Haflidason comes down pit road. Those drivers are running for the championship. Drivers in the timing and scoring pylon that are highlighted in blue, except for Daniel Solo, again that will be fixed for next week, are running for the championship as well. So you can see where the points runners, the points championship contenders are running at any given time. Michael Haflidason again on pit road. Should be signaling the start here very, very soon of this pit cycle. It's Tony Oivinen under very close contest with Jesper Eriksson. And Eriksson will take over that 6th position. It's the highest that Eriksson has been here today. Plus 12 for where he started, clips the grass. Almost sending himself around, but it has been a very trying night for the man who currently leads in the championship. However, he has again gotten up to his highest position as Arildsson continues to pull away. Solo, Blixt, and Gunnarsson trying to hunt him down.
And you kind of got to wonder what would have happened earlier in the race had Arildsson not chunked the start and missed that shift on the initial green flag run, Frank.
It has been a race of trying to claw your mistakes back for Arildsson. He has done so very, very nicely as the 2 championship contenders for Team Superior come down pit road. Anton Bradberg, Robert Eriksson. Saw Kenneth Tier and Haflida Johansson go down. There's Connie Lundell there as well in the 91. Tony Oivinen, Vilda Whalen, and Emily Fegrell coming down pit road. So Oivinen and the 2 Team Gaia cars down pit road here.
50 to go. Still a lot of racing left in this one. There's Eriksson and Broström going after each other now.
Comes Arildsson down pit road behind Martin Liesnik. As you mentioned, 50 laps to go. This should put them in the window of being able to make it from here if we stay green. Broström down, Fredriksson down. The Alcantech trio staying out.
And the good news is, should we get a late race caution, everybody's still laying a set of tires on pit road.
So the even strategy for all. Jonas Gunnarsson peels off from the back of the Alcantech trio up front. Jesper Eriksson coming down pit road as well, as is Andre Solander, a little bit more entertaining than Eriksson and Gunnarsson did.
Yeah, but he kept it pointed in the right direction. I don't think he's going to get a penalty on that one.
Robert
At least
Erling.
he shouldn't.
Robert Erling, Bjorn Broström, Jochen Wett, Eric Lundberg all coming down pit road as well. Andre Solander, we mentioned him coming in. Now the top two, Eric Blix and Daniel Solo, make their way down pit road. Blix leading his first laps of the day. As the lead of the race will now cycle out to Daniel Holmer in the number 79 with Daniel Blomqvist running right behind him. Again, these two came into pit back on lap 96 and 97 because they had not pit since the caution back on lap 36. So these guys will have to pit again.
Great fuel mileage for those guys.
Absolutely. Did have another caution plus a stage caution in there as well.
That's still great fuel mileage, regardless.
Absolutely. So Daniel Holmer, Daniel Blomqvist, Jonas Skoglund, and Marcus Hagman will have to come down pit road again. Unfortunately for these guys, Alexander Arildsson is not a long way behind. Arildsson currently 4.3 seconds adrift of the race lead and about 2 seconds shy of catching up to Marcus Hagman in third.
And I don't think that's going to be a big slugfest considering that Hagman is a teammate to the 24. So
both those guys with 4Z Sports as another 4Z Sport car, Linus Broström. Trying to pick up a position on Daniel Solo. This would be for 9th. Solo coming in 2 laps after Broström. Broström on 117, Solo on 119, and Broström, who has shown a lot of great short run pace tonight in that 71, picking up another spot.
got a battle heating up for 5th between Haflidason and Skoglund.
Haflidason takes the spot. Haflidason was the first to come in back on lap 112, so a good 4 or 5 laps sooner than anyone else that he was able to come in. Jonas Gunnarsson getting around Skoglund as well. Skoglund coming in on lap 97, which is why you're starting to see him fall back. Take a look at the last pit lap for everyone. For Gunnarsson, Blixt, and Solo. Gunnarsson was 118. Blixt and Solo 119 on that chart.
Connection issues for Skoglund.
Blinking in and out. Eric Blixt fortunately got around that 83 before that had a chance to really affect him. Vilda Whalen now doing battle with Oscar Fredriksson and Andre Solander for 13th.
She has not had the finishes this season indicative to the runs that she's had. she's had a strong car just about every race, but it's something minor, getting caught up in someone else's mistake, has cost her podium finishes all season long.
Whalen came into this race 27th in points. Best finish of the year of 8th. That was back at Atlanta. 9th at Sonoma in the opening round at Daytona. 11th at Michigan. Every other finish below 11th.
And, you know, again, none of it by doing of her own. It's always been, you know, someone wrecking in front of her and her having absolutely nowhere to go.
She does have a sprint win on this season as well. I believe it was Atlanta.
Yes.
She took home the sprint race there. Solander looking to the inside of the 29. Solander trying to move his way back up. Will take that position away. Further ahead back at the fun and adventures of Jonas Skoglund. Skoglund about 7/10 of a second off of Linus Broström. Now Daniel Solo looking to the inside. Eric Blixt, by the way, has gone past and blitzed Linus Broström, no pun intended.
I see what you did there.
To the tune of about a second. Battle for the race lead. Daniel Holmer trying to keep last week's winner, Marcus Hagman, at bay. Cannot do it. Marcus Hagman to the race lead.
In other series that we've covered that Hagman has driven in, he's had a lot of success here in Las Vegas. So I would expect nothing short of that from him tonight. Didn't get the qualifying attempt he was looking for, though. Had to start kind of deep in this one. But he's clawed his way up 16 spots and currently shows the way. But one of your biggest movers is back there in 6th. That is the 487 of Daniel Bloomquist, who has just been on a tear.
Well, there's a little bit of smoke there. Everyone appears to be straight, though. No caution. We've only had 2 cautions for incident. Both of those were in the first stage. Back on lap 35 and 49. Those 2 cautions came out. Daniel Bloomquist was running in 2nd not all that long ago, but his tire age is beginning to show. He and Daniel Holmer both now starting to fall back. As just as it was before we went to break, Marcus Hagman and Alexander Arildsson running 1 and 2.
Arildsson's not letting Hagman get too far out there either.
Certainly not.
Matter of fact,
he's going right around him. So that is Alexander Arildsson back to the race lead. And for Arildsson, might be all she wrote unless a caution comes out. He has been so good, especially on the long run here tonight.
The only thing the rest of the field is hoping for right now is a caution, as Gunnarsson and Blick starting to go after each other now.
Blixt now in the middle as Blixt really working his way forward quite nicely. About a quarter of a second quicker than anybody else around him last time around. Fastest car on the track was that 95 of Eric Blixt.
By almost a full 10th, too.
The only one close to him was Alexander Arildsson, who had just got into the race lead. Blixt and Arildsson running identical lap times there as Blixt gets out in front of his teammate Michael Haflidason. Now sets his sights on Daniel Holmer. This one should go rather quickly for Blixt. Blixt hitting on lap 119 compared to Holmer on lap 97. And Blixt up another spot.
Bloomquist goes pit side.
Expected. Would be expecting Daniel Holmer to pit soon as well. Jonas Skoglund in the same boat. Speaking of the dominance that Alexander Arildsson has shown here today. Back in Season 2, the final race of Season 2, Alexander Arildsson leading 90 of the 164 laps. In this event, qualified 8th. En route to the win to close out Season 2. So Arildsson very comfortable around this place. Michael Haflidason losing another spot, this one to Linus Broström.
Another coat of paint on those cars, and they both would have been in trouble that last time across the stripe.
Very, very close indeed. For Arildsson, that would have been his first win in the series. He has since gone on to claim 5 more for a total of 6. Two in Season 3, 2 in Season 4, and then the win earlier this season back
Battle
at Phoenix.
for second.
Blixt and Hagman give it to Blixt. Jonas Gunnarsson not far behind on that 95. Now starts the task, trying to claw back 3 seconds. "27 laps to go. He's got the time to do it." A caution would certainly help.
That it would. The question is, how hard can Hagman go? Especially he was last down pit road on 107. Does he really want to come back down pit road?
Hagman is going to be rather close. And my guess would be no, he's not going to want to come down pit road again.
He might have to.
Yeah, unfortunately. Hagman coming into pit on lap 50, taking tires and fuel, which put him up at the front, but also put him off cycle to the rest of the field. Linus Broström now getting around teammate Marcus Hagman. Broström up to 4th.
Hagman knows he's not racing for the championship. Linus is, just letting him go. He's got to be careful, though, because Michael Haflidason is starting to reel him in.
So a group of cars battling here. Daniel Holmer, Jesper Eriksson, Daniel Solo, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Holmer does need to pit again at some point. Eriksson and Solo do not. Eriksson sliding up in front of Daniel Holmer up into the 7th spot. All 3 of these guys running for the championship.
I'm going on a limb and say that within the next 5 laps, we're going to see Holmer have to go pit side for fuel. Solo just called it out. I think.
Did he call it out for Holmer, or which wouldn't make sense because they're not on
No,
the same
he called
team.
it out. He called it out for himself.
That's odd because Solo,
I
unless
think
he knows...
I can't understand a word of Swedish. All I know is there's chatter over the radio.
Probably thank you.
Or another thing that ends in you.
Well, Eric Blixt.
You've listened to Jim Cornette before, haven't you?
I've listened to him before this.
Uh-huh. Thank you. Goodbye.
Alexander Arildsson Take a look at the time delta, and that staircase is not going Arildson's way. As Blixt has closed in consistently over the last half a dozen laps. Both of these drivers would be looking for their second win of the season. Arildsson, as we mentioned, winner at Phoenix earlier this season. Eric Blixt, winner at Bristol on the dirt side and Atlanta. Blixt, however, would be stripped of that Bristol win after it's determined by league admins using a little bit of an exploit to help him get around Bristol a little bit quicker on the dirt side.
Yeah, but that's the real world drivers at Bristol that let you use that exploit as well.
True, very true.
I mean, not that they can do it anymore, but they did. Thanks, Ross.
Arildsson a little bit quicker than Blixt that last lap. Jonas Gunnarsson running in third in the 33. Believe it or not, with how often Gunnarsson has been around this season, how often he's been around the front, would you believe me if I told you he has not won a race yet? Came in second at Bristol Dirt, second at Martinsville, and has finished third 4 times at Talladega, on the Charlotte Roval, Phoenix, and Kansas.
That's actually shocking.
I was almost certain that he had a win this season.
Well, we are in Vegas. I would have almost been willing to put money on it. Good grief.
It's one of the team superior cars running along that outside wall. Not Anton Ehrmann. He's battling with Robert Earling for 18th right now.
It's like the 22.
And Philip Carlin. Philip Carlin was running up in the top 5 earlier on before an incident with a teammate took him out. Car still looks good, just he got behind and unfortunately has not been able to recover, as here come the two Bright Esports by picked last cars. Daniel Holmer and Jonas Skoglund in for the expected pit stop.
Marcus Hagman, Jesper Eriksson, and Dan Solo started to heat things up now.
It's for 6th. For Eriksson, it would be his highest position run today. And both of them go waltzing right past the 12. Right now, the battle is for the race lead. Arildsson a little bit quicker. Times in green are laps where Arildson's been quicker. Times in red where Blixt has been a little bit quicker. See, the last 3 out of 5, it's been Arildsson, but not by much. By a little bit more than a 10th combined. See about this lap upcoming here. 7 1/1000ths of a second advantage Blixt. That is not enough with 13 laps to go.
No, it is not.
And a car in between them, I believe that's Kenneth Tier in the 49. It's about to be 2 as Arildson's about to put Havlidi Johansson a lap down. 19 cars on the lead lap. Everyone who signed up for this race is still on track. after
Battle hot and heavy
155
fifth
circulations.
right now.
Jesper Eriksson to the inside of Michael Haflidason.
Guys have done everything except hit each other so far.
And for Michael Haflidason, he was the first of the drivers to come down pit road. He started this pit cycle back on lap 112. So he is going to be a little bit more worn than the others. And it's starting to show right now, especially with Dan Solo, who closed out the pit cycle pitting on lap 119.
Well, Eriksson only pitted 1 lap sooner than Solo did, so that's a sketchy move coming through the tri-oval.
It's not the first time Eriksson's clipped that grass either. Saw him just prior to the pit cycle doing it. Did it a little bit more there the previous time.
Track limits, Kimi.
Eriksson able to stay out ahead of Daniel Solo, at least for the moment. And Eriksson has turned what has been a rather average day into a very good finish. The mark of a champion. He was the regular season champion.
Regular season champion, which gave him the #1 seed coming into the playoffs. I think he's going to maintain #1 coming out of here tonight. Hasn't led a ton of laps, but he's been in the mix after chunking his qualifying attempt.
Hasn't led any laps. It's his first time in the top 5 tonight. It has been a trying night so far for Jesper Eriksson, but it has been a successful one, and he will leave Vegas and go to Richmond with the points lead. Came in 37 points over the 2,000 between wins and stage points. 17-point lead in the championship over Linus Broström, who currently sits in front of him. All in all, a very good day to limit the damage for Jesper Eriksson, because as you said, starting 18th, that is not where he was expecting to be for the start of this race.
Absolutely not. If you had asked me prior to qualifying, I would have told you he would have been top 5.
Marcus Hagman will come down pit road with 6 laps to go. Unfortunately, couldn't make it long enough. Tried his darndest, but just missed it.
Means Michael Haflidason might be sweating bullets right now, as he was down on lap 112. One of the first ones that are on track right now to bring it pit side, so it's going to be touch and go for some of these guys right now.
5 laps to go, and Haflidason came in 5 laps after Hagman. So he is going to be on the line.
All you got to do is get 166 laps out of this tank of fuel, and then you can call it a night.
Richmond in 2 weeks' time, if all stays as it is, will mean nothing to Alexander Arildsson, because he will lock himself into the final 10. Final 10 will begin in 4 weeks at Auto Club Speedway, where we saw a great race for the Thunderclap Series last night. And we've been very lucky here, Tony, over these last couple of days. It's not even the last couple of days, the last 18 hours or so.
Yeah.
A lot of great long-run racing, and it's picked up and continued here tonight. We have not had a caution here in this second stage.
From Monday on, I've had really good luck in iRacing with leagues that have had long green flag runs. I think there was one incident for caution on Monday I didn't broadcast Tuesday, but like you said last night, we had a long green flag run after the stage cautions, and I mean it's refreshing to see. The clean racing is back in iRacing.
Final stage at Thunderclap for 100 laps, a little bit under 100 laps. Going caution free.
Frank.
Yep, here comes Arildsson to the line. White flag in the air.
White flag in the air. We are officially racing back checkers. Arildsson 2.5 seconds to the good over Eric Blix, Gunnarsson in third.
Well, it has been a dominating afternoon, evening for Alexander Arildsson. Started in second, messed up the opening restart, recovered nicely to win the stage, and the long run speed of that 24 proves to be the winner. Alexander Arildsson wins the Harpsöe Sweden 400 here from Las Vegas and locks himself into the round of 10.
That was an impressive drive. Especially the recovery after missing a shift on the initial start, and he dropped back to 12th early, and then the speed started to come back into play.
Great run for him. Also a great run for the Alcantech team, coming home in the other two positions on the podium. But for Alexander Arildsson, this relieves a lot of pressure going into Richmond next week, or next time out in 2 weeks. And Tony, you are with our race winner right now.
As he's burning them down on the apron, congratulations, Alexander Arildsson. You win at Vegas and punch your ticket into the round of 10.
Yeah, thank you. That feels great to already have secured a spot in the round of 10 there. So that was a good race for me.
It was a good recovery drive that you had as well, considering that you missed that shift on the initial green flag, but you just battled back all race long. How disheartening was that on the initial go?
Yeah, well, that wasn't great, was it? And I actually missed another shift on, I think it was the stage, the restart after the stage, but finally managed to recover from there as well and get back up front.
Well, in 2 weeks' time, we go to Richmond. You've already got your ticket punched. What's the game plan for the 24 team going into the race in 2 weeks?
Well, it's going for the win and more stage points, really, or playoff points, I should say. And I'm usually quite good at Richmond, so hopefully I am in this car and this season as well.
All right, Alexander Arildsson, who do you need to thank before we let you go celebrate this victory in Las Vegas?
I want to thank, first of all, Mabi Höbela for bringing us such a fast Camaro, and all my teammates at 4 Sports.
Alexander Arildsson, again, congratulations. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See ya. Thank you.
And Frank, I believe you've got Eric Blix with you now.
I do. Our second place finisher here tonight, Eric Blix. Eric, for a vast majority of that final run, you were the fastest car on the racetrack. Unfortunately, just not enough time and a little bit too big of a gap to be able to catch that 24 tonight.
Yeah, the gap just did not go down quick enough. I gained a few tenths, a few laps, and then he caught some draft on the lap cars, but yeah, just tried to dig in and try to close the gap, but it was just too much.
Now, you started pretty deep into this field, 16th, if I remember correctly, and able to work your way up through the field. How was it being able to maneuver this car through the field tonight? Because the car really didn't seem as loose here tonight as it has been over the most recent years.
I mean, I almost lost it one lap, but when I clipped the apron, it was pretty sketchy. But, well, you just had to wait out the tires and get the easy passes done and try not to fight too much with other people and just wait for the tires to drop off.
All right, in 2 weeks' time, we go to Richmond to close out the round of 15 here in the playoffs. Second highest finisher in the race, second highest finisher in the playoffs today. What are your thoughts going into Richmond, knowing that you're somewhat in a safe position?
I'm looking to take up the ongoing beef with Alex on that one. I think we had a few good races on Richmond, 1-2 a few times, I think. So I'm looking forward to that.
All right, bud. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Just the whole Alcantech crew and all the sponsors.
All right, bud. Your second place finisher tonight, Alexander Arildsson. Congratulations. Or Eric Blix, pardon me.
Wow.
Sorry about that. And Tony, now to our third place finisher, Jonas Gunnarsson. There was the right name. Jonas is with you now.
Jonas Gunnarsson, all things considered, can't be too disappointed with a podium finish here in Sin City.
No, I'm not. Both Eric and Alexander saved the tires really good.
Well, you had a good long run car, that's for sure. You just ran out of time from when you had that last pit stop to when the checkers flew. You were gaining on them slowly but surely. You just needed another 10 laps or so to make it happen.
Yeah, I pushed the tires really hard when it was, I think, 6 or 7 laps to go. But the tires were dead on the last lap, so I think I should have not gained anything more.
Well, we go from one track that likes to eat tires to another one in 2 weeks. Richmond is notorious for punishing the right front tire. What's your game plan going into that track next week, or in 2 weeks? I'm sorry.
Yeah, same as here. Try to start in the front and, like you say, saving the right side tires and
All right,
try
Jonas,
to be in the front and win the race, of course.
well, there you go. That's the game plan. Jonas, who do you
Yeah.
need to thank before we let you go celebrate this podium tonight?
Yeah, it's the usual. Neiman Racing, Alcantech, SimLab, and the whole team, and you guys.
Jonas Gunnarsson, congratulations on the podium finish. We'll see you in 2 weeks in Richmond.
Yep, thank you.
And Frank, that puts another one in the books for us, my friend.
That it does, and another very strong finish for Jonas Gunnarsson. What would be his fifth third-place finish of the season? And I mean, we touched on it during the race, but we have been very, very fortunate over these last couple of days to get a lot of long green flag racing, and 101 laps to end this race. Certainly not a bad way to go.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was a fun race to watch from start to finish, that's for sure. And the fact that, these guys and gals, every time they take to the track, it's amazing to watch the level of skill. I mean, there were some saves that we saw tonight that any other league we broadcast, that would have been a caution. But these guys could get these cars more sideways than just about anyone else in iRacing and still get them to hang on. It's impressive.
Yeah, it absolutely was. And again, these guys will head back to the LMP2s next week at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway to run on the road course for an hour and 40 minutes to start the second half of the season there. In 2 weeks' time, they head to Richmond to continue this round of 15 and make the cut to the round of 10. That's another very difficult place. We thought Talladega was tough to cut off to go into the playoffs. A short track like Richmond to cut to go through to the next round of the playoffs is going to be just as, if not even more difficult than a place like Talladega.
It's actually going to be cutthroat in 2 weeks. There's a lot of guys right now that are behind the 8 ball that they need to win. That's the only way they're moving on to the round of 10 is to win. And I, for one, would not want to be in their shoes going into a place like Richmond. Richmond is notorious for being tough on tires. It's tough on drivers. It's just flat out tough on equipment. And we wouldn't have it any other way because it's Richmond, baby.
Absolutely. It will be a very fun go of it in 2 weeks' time to continue this championship run. But right now, we'll take a look At the final results here for tonight's race, Alexander Arildsson, Eric Blix, and Jonas Gunnarsson, your top 3, with Jesper Eriksson and Linus Broström rounding out the top 5. Daniel Solo, Oscar Fredriksson, Tony Oivinen, Andre Solander, and Michael Haflidason rounding out the top 10. 9 of your top 10 finishers tonight are playoff contenders. Vilda Whalen, Anton Bratberg, Emily Fegrell, a very good performance today for Team Gaia, finishing 11th and 13th. Robert Erling and Jochen Wett rounding out the top 15.
Top 15 and lead lap cars is Anton Oman coming home in 16th, Bjorn Broström, Robert Eriksson, Heflida Johansson, and Dan Holmer rounding out your top 20. Kenneth Tier, Jonas Forrest, Dan Bloomquist, Marcus Hagman, and Martin Liesnik rounding out your top 25. Jonas Skoglund, Connie Lundell, Philip Carlin, and Eric Lundberg rounding out the field of 29 starters who did all finish.
Yep, everybody finished here tonight, and unfortunately for Eric Lundberg, who had a throughput right as they were gridding up tonight, so started the race on the back foot and unfortunately was never able to catch up. Really quick, we'll take a look now at the final results for the heat race. Robert Eriksson taking the win there. Connie Lundell, Vilda Whalen, Jonas Forrest, Martin Liesnik, your top 5. And then Robert Erling, Tony Oivinen, Bjorn Broström, and Daniel Bloomquist. Bloomquist wrecking out. Oivinen was leading from the pole when he had to come in to serve a black flag for a start violation. So for my broadcast partner, Tony Trapasso, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening. We will see you all next week for the 4th round of the LMP2 Series season from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And be sure to join us later tonight, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, for our first ever stream of F1 Manager 2022. Have a great night, everybody.